The next coach on the teleconference is Ohio State's Ryan Day. Ohio State hosts Oregon State on Saturday at noon Eastern Time on ABC. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you like to make an opening statement or go straight to questions?
Questions, please. Thanks.
We'll take those now.
To ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. As a reminder, if there are no questions in the queue following 2 prompts, we'll conclude that coach's portion of the call. Your first question is from Tim May, Columbus Dispatch.
Thank you very much. Hi, Ryan. I'm just wondering if you could just kind of generally say where you think this offense could be a little different this year compared to what people saw a year ago.
Well, again, without JT and Billy in there, it's going to take on a little bit of a different personality. Just in that, Dwayne has a different skill set than JT. But, for the most part, our offense is our offense. We want to be, 250 and 250. That's the goal. We want to be, 50% passing, 50% running, have good balance. But I don't really see, a huge change in terms of our offense. I mean, we're still going to be in mostly, 11 personnel. We have great wide receivers. We want to make sure those guys are in the game. And at the end of the day, we want to stretch you horizontally and vertically, and then we have good linemen in there. So, some different wrinkles in there, but for the most part, we're going to be the Ohio State offense.
And one quick follow-up. We saw where Jeremy Ruckert got his black stripe off a couple of weeks ago and stuff, but just the tight end position, we didn't get to ask you about yesterday. Well, how do you see that developing, and do you see Ruckert having a role earlier rather than later in this offense?
Yes, I do. He's a talented young man. We do have a little bit more depth at that position this year going into game 1. And so, Jake Hausman's been nursing a little bit of a hamstring. But Luke's done a good job. He's the starter, and then we're going to have a little bit of depth there with Rashad, Jake, and Jeremy. So, we lost Marcus, which he's an NFL player, so that's something we have to replace. But there's a little bit more depth there, so that'll give us a little bit more versatility in terms of our personnel groupings. And I think Jeremy will play early this season.
Your next question is from Mitch Stacy, Associated Press.
Hey, Ryan. We understand that Urban spoke to the team last Thursday. Can you talk about what his message was to the team and what the mood was there and how you felt about it?
Yeah, I mean, those meetings are kind of private with our team, and I think that's probably a good question for when Coach gets back next week. But I will tell you, obviously, the guys were happy to see him. Shoot, I was happy to see him because it seemed like a long time. We're used to seeing each other every day, and so I hadn't seen him in a few weeks, so that was good. And there was a lot of hugs, and I know Coach, it was really he was happy to see, the guys, and as you can imagine, he was kind of giving him an update on what was going on and kind of explaining some of the situation and then talking about moving forward. So again, we try to keep most of those meetings, between us, but that was the gist of it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
Your next question is from Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yes, Ryan. Could you kind of address the running back situation? Obviously, you have two very good players there with J.K. and Mike Weber. How do you think that will work this year?
I think a lot of the way it did last year. They're both a year older. They both had really good off seasons. They both pull for each other. I think that's what's great about it. They both have a great relationship. During special teams, the two of them are often in the quarterback meeting room with us. And then when the position meetings start, obviously they go with the running backs. But been able to spend a lot of time with those guys this preseason. They're hungry. They're doing a great job. And I kind of see it as a two-headed monster, kind of like it was last year. But, obviously they both have to stay healthy. There's going to be plenty of carries to go around throughout the year, and then the young guys are going to have to help them. We're not just going to be able to get away with two running backs for the whole season too. We're going to need those two young guys to step in and play for us as well. So a lot of carries to go around, and I think it'll be kind of the two of those guys working together.
And how have those two guys, Speed and Teague, worked out?
How they look right now?
How have they looked?
Yeah, strong. Both of them strong. I'm very impressed with the way Mike Weber's practiced this summer. I think his approach has been excellent, and he needs to continue with that. But he's really been practicing harder, finishing his runs in practice, and so I hope that this translates to really high-end play for him because he's been doing the things we've been asking him to.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Your next question is from Teddy Greenstein, Chicago Tribune.
Hey, Coach, is your QB situation fluid, or do you have like a certain plan to get Martell involved as well?
Dwayne's a starter, but like I said, yesterday, we want to, play Tate. He brings a little bit different skill set to the table, so the plan is to play him again. As the week goes on, we'll kind of figure out where and how. But no, Dwayne's the starter, and Dwayne's going to be the starter. And so we'll see how the week progresses, and then once we get into the game, we'll kind of go from there.
Do you like the fact that they do seem different? Like when you have two quarterbacks who are similar competing at the same spot, maybe that makes it trickier to find roles for them?
They are who they are. It's one of those things where, they were both here when I got here, and then, we lost Joe. So we have Dwayne and we have Tate. And, we want to try to figure out what makes, what utilize their skill set the best. And it's not drastically different in terms of our offense. That's what's good. Our offense is very versatile. But they do bring different things to the table, which is exciting. But one good thing is it's not like, we have to completely change things that we do when Tate goes in or Dwayne goes in. So that part's positive.
All right, thanks.
Your next question is from Bill Landis, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Ryan. You mentioned yesterday that Mike Jordan will start at center on Saturday. That never seemed to be really part of the conversation in the spring. I'm just curious when moving Mike to center became a consideration, and I guess throughout camp, how you thought he adjusted to that, and sort of how you managed it between he and Brady in terms of who got reps.
Yep, we, it was something that we considered all along, and we just kind of wanted to take a look at all of our options and figure out what gave us the best option to be successful this season. Between Brady, Josh, and Mike, they were all given, pretty much, the equal amount of reps if you look at from the spring all the way to the preseason. And then we just had to make a decision, in game one, what gave us the best chance. And that's what we went with. And so now Mike's got the task of starting at center in a new position for him. So that's a challenge. And then those other guys have to keep working too to provide depth for him right now. So it was just one of those things where you just try to find, the right mix and the right guy for the right spot. And Mike kind of took it and ran this preseason.
And this may seem like a silly question, but Mike's big. He's a big guy. He's 6'7". Like, is it possible to be too tall to play center?
I don't think so. No, there are some guys at center who are a little bit more sought off than Mike is. But to be honest with you, he moves really, really well, and he's very athletic, and so that was one of those things early on that we kind of asked is does he have the right build and the right makeup to play center? And we learned quickly that he does.
Thanks.
No problem, brother.
Coach, thank you very much for your time today, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, thanks, guys.